This is it, UFC 301 full prediction video, every single fight on the card. If you thought UFC 300 was fun, wait till you see this card. It's going to blow your mind. Look, is UFC 300 one of the best cards we've ever gotten on paper? No, it isn't. But it's the card that comes after 300, one of the biggest cards that we have ever got on paper. So what they're giving us is pretty good. And I do have to say that considering we got through UFC Vegas 91 and had a good time with that, I'm sure that we're going to have a good time with this one. I'm going to be live streaming the entire card all the way from the early prelims. So if you want to hang out in the channel and say hi, feel free to jump in. But until then, let's cover every single fight on UFC 301. Starting off with Alexandre Costa versus Kevin. Oh man, I love these names. I love saying these names. Kevin Borjas. We're going to pump through these, okay? There's no need to make a 1 hour predictions video on UFC 301. We'll do a deep dive into some of the fights, but for some of these fights, we're just going to blast through them. This fight, kicking off the card, it's going to be a fun fight. It's going to be a stand-up fight. I'm going to be going with Borjas. When it comes down to the two of them, I think Borjas is going to be coming out with the decision. I think it's going to be a scrap. I'm going to enjoy this one. It's a nice one to start off with. Moving on to the next fight. That's how quickly we're doing it. We're just going to pump this out, all right? Ismael Bonfim versus Vince Pichel. This one is going to be another sick fight, I think. You know, I don't blame Ismael Bonfim for losing to BSD. All right, that is a very acceptable loss. This is MMA, not boxing. Not everyone needs to have an O next to their record all the way up until the title shot, okay? And Vince Pichel, he's old as hell. He is old as hell. So I think what you're gonna have is Ismael Bonfim wanting to get himself back in there, get himself back into the win column. Vince Pichel, who is fighting for every single fight to keep his contracts going in the UFC. He's going to scrap, but I do think that Ismael Bonfim is going to be coming out on top. Next fight, as I cover every single fight happening on UFC 301. Ruffy versus Malaki. Oh, we love Malaki around my house. We love him. We love him. Come on, Malaki. Win a fight, will you, mate? Now, Ruffy, he's young in MMA, right? Not saying like age-wise he's that young, but in MMA, he's young. And I think that for a stage this big, right, for an athlete of this level, this is almost too much of a step up for where he is in his career right now to take on a absolute Chad like Jamie Malaki. I think Malaki is going to lock in. It's going to be a long, drawn-out fight. I don't see this one being that exciting, I've got to be honest. I see it being a bit more of a technical fight, but I do think that Malaki does pull away with a decision over this one. Moving on to the next fight. Jacquin Silva, who cares? Jacquin Silva versus Drakkar Klose. Jacquin can crack, man. He can crack. But I think Drakkar Klose is the more well-rounded guy. So sometimes you just have to go with the guy that has more ways to win a fight. So I'm going to say that Drakkar Klose is the pick just because he has got more options. But I guess it really does depend like what sort of fight IQ Jacquin comes in with. I'm going to go Drakkar Klose. Next fight on UFC 301. Have you ever seen anybody do a full card prediction video with this much gusto and pep? Let me know down there in the comments. Right. John Silva versus Gomez. Now, William Gomez is French. So naturally, he's built to lose a fight. The French are combat sport losers. They do not win any wars. They do not win any battles. They had Napoleon. They blew their load. It was over. He's also William Gomez here. He's also a very boring fighter. So I think this fight is going to be William Gomez slowly dancing around the outside, picking his shots over 15 minutes. I do think he's going to win via non-warrior-esque genealogy. So I am going to go with the Frenchman, William Gomez. Now, moving on, Elvis Brenner versus Mektik Otabay. Oh man, every single fight, they say, the odds makers, the bookies, Sportsbet, DraftKings, They always say that Elvis Brenner is going to lose. And he just wins. He just wins. And this is going to be another one that he is going to just win. If you're putting together a parlay, start off the parlay or have Elvis Brenner somewhere in there in your parlay, because he is that underdog that you're looking for to spice things up. Elvis Brenner gets the win, brings you home the bag this weekend if you are going to be betting on these fights. Now, the next fight on this card, as I cover every single fight happening at UFC 301, is Joe Anderson Brito versus Jack Shaw. This actually is a damn close fight. A damn close fight. You could flip a coin. Do I have a coin? You could flip a coin. And who knows how this fight is going to... I have a bottle cap. Back of the bottle cap, top of the bottle cap. Joe Anderson Brito is the back of the bottle cap. Oh, Jack Shaw is going to win this fight. Moving on. We're going with Jack Shaw now. The next one, now, the next one. Paul Craig versus Caio Baralho. Let's take this one seriously. Paul Craig, right? Paul Craig. This is the easiest fight in the world to call. This fight goes onto your parlay somewhere towards the end of it, just to beef it up, just to get a nice, easy win in there, right? Paul Craig is Tai Tuivasa-esque. His entire career is a fluke and a gimmick. They have the same career. Baralho will sleep Paul Craig via vicious ground and pound. Paul Craig has no chin, no stand-up, and his entire plan is to run in there, see if he wins an exchange. If he loses the exchange, which he will, go onto his back and look for an armbar. Caio Baralho knows how to not get armbarred, and he will rain down vicious ground and pound. Caio Baralho win. The hard part here is it going to be the first round or the second round. That is the only hard part here to call. Paul Craig has no chance. He's done. He's done in the UFC. So, moving on. Mikael Pereira versus Ihor Potieria. I love this. I love seeing Mikael Pereira, and they have lobbed up a real easy shot for him. All he has to do is just dunk it. This is a lob. This is a gimme, and I trust that he will. What else can you say about this? It's like the next fight. Obviously, I'm going Pereira. It's like the next fight, right? Anthony Smith versus Vitor Petrino. So should I do the thing? Should I do the thing that every single MMA YouTuber is going to do at this part of their predictions video? Let's just get it out of the way? Okay, so on paper, Vitor Petrino, if you take away his striking, his low kicks, his takedowns, if you just isolate him to a tree trunk of a body fighter with no limbs, and then when he's not coming at you, allow him to go into his holding pattern, would you take away all his tools from him and he's just a stump? At that point, Anthony Smith would still lose the fight. He'd have a mental breakdown of PTSD in the cage and just somehow find a way to lose. This is another easy parlay fluffer. Anthony Smith is going to lose. Jonathan Martinez versus Jose Aldo. I am so pumped to see Aldo back. I'm so pumped. And not only that, I think he can win this. Look, there's been a lot of calls on this predictions video. There are a lot of fights on this card where they're very, very easy to call. This is not that. This is a super exciting, close fight. Aldo looked good on his way out. His last loss in the UFC was to Merab. Didn't get taken down by Merab. Did better against Merab than Henry Cejudo did. Has gone on to do boxing since then. Has looked good in boxing. Aldo, nobody knows how old he is. Is he 36? No, he's older than that. But how old is he? It's very, very interesting. And I do think that he can stand and bang with Jonathan Martinez. Jonathan Martinez is a very competent striker, but there is something that needs to be said for Aldo coming back, having maybe a proper retirement in front of his home crowd, having a good long rest, bringing in all that cage experience. I am so amped for this fight. It's almost like the entire weekend for me is built around this fight. I'm going to be picking Jose Aldo. That is a pick straight from the heart. I want to believe that he can win. But this fight is another one that is razor thin. And then let us get on to the main event. Alex Pantoja, or Alexandra Pantoja. Alexei Pantoja versus welcome to the UFC. I just got here. My name's Steve Erceg. Steve Erceg has joined the UFC and somehow worked his way up to a title shot. And as of recording this video, Belal Muhammad still hasn't been confirmed to fight in Manchester. Man, they hate Belal Muhammad. They hate. All right, lock in, Doug. I've been saying for a couple of weeks now, right? If this fight goes to the ground, Steve Erceg's going to lose this fight. So when they're standing, I do believe Steve Erceg is the better, cleaner, harder striker. When it goes to the ground, there seems to be a lot of he loses this fight on the ground. But as I've done a deeper dive into Erceg and really started paying attention to the details of his career on the come up through Eternal, coming to the UFC, it started to open up to me that he is a former Australian champion wrestler. He's also got a really good base in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which means that he has got this fight to me. He's got this fight when it comes to the hands. And if it ends up going to the ground, he has got the fight IQ on the ground to survive it. I'm not saying that his ground game is better than Pantoja's on the ground, but I do think that he's going to bring in enough experience and enough fight IQ to actually survive the ground game. So, having said that, when it comes to styles make fights and you go with the fighter generally that has more tools to win it, Erceg is younger. He has got just as good as a well-rounded base as Pantoja, if not a better striking game than Pantoja. So I am going to be going, not just with a heart pick because it's an Aussie going for an Aussie, but I'm going to be going with Steve Erceg. I think he can get it done. I'm backing Steve Erceg this weekend. So they are my picks for all of UFC 301. Let me know, do you think I'm absolutely crazy with some of these picks? What is your parlay going to be? Put it down there in the comments. At UFC 301, we're going to be releasing a new banner for the channel. It's going to look sick. And we're going to be doing a live stream across the entire card. So come and join me for that if you want to. But until then, leave a like if you liked this video. Let me know your parlay down there in the comments and sub to the channel. And of course, I'll see you all in the next video.